Good afternoon. This is Metloop meteorologist Nancy Koslick here with an update on today's forecast. We're continuing to track an upper level low and its associated frontal boundary as it moves out of the southeast later on this afternoon. Notice all of the activity that was extending through the Carolinas and back into Georgia earlier this morning has since moved offshore, but we are still watching that low and of course a little bit of activity extending down into the state of Florida this afternoon. So where that front is situated right now, you can definitely tell based on those temperatures out there. We've got the 50s and 60s back behind the front as we're seeing that cooler air being pulled down by that low pressure system. And of course, up ahead of the front, we're still experiencing the 70s and even 80s down into the state of Florida right now. So some of that heat helping to fire up a few of those stronger thunderstorms for the central portions of the state. And we'll take a closer look at that here in just a second. But elsewhere throughout the country, pretty mild conditions for this afternoon, with the exception, of course, of the northern states up around the Great Lakes region and up into the northeast, where we're seeing the 20s and 30s as of right now. So as far as the overall pattern goes, we are continuing to watch that low down in the southeast make its way off. We're going to keep watching that track off to the east and northeast over the next day or so, eventually leaving the United States altogether. Otherwise, we're watching a low situated up into Canada that's helping to really kick up some snowfall, especially heading up into portions of Maine, back into New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire for the rest of today. And off the west coast, we're seeing another upper level low form itself out here, spinning a lot of wet weather up into the Pacific Northwest, including some freezing rain for portions of interior Washington and northern Oregon. And over the next several days, we're going to watch not only this storm system, but another couple move their way through the area, really continuing to keep that rain in the forecast, especially for portions of California. As I mentioned a second ago, we are going to continue to see the wet pattern in the west coast for the next several days. In fact, here's a look at exactly what we're expecting as far as precipitation totals over the next 72 hours. A lot of it falling for the state of California. So this is definitely something to pay close attention to over the next several days, as this rainfall is going to stick with us, and we're already seeing the dangers of some flooding into that area of the country. Now, we're also looking at some pretty high snowfall totals over the next 24 hours or so, and this is up into the northeast, where we were mentioning just a second ago that we're going to continue to see all of that snow. So we're looking for around 10 inches possible for places like eastern Vermont, heading into New Hampshire and up into portions of Maine as well. A little bit less heading back into New York, but either way, we're adding to that already messy weather up into the northeast. Here's a look at the future radar and what to expect for the rest of tonight. And notice we're going to continue to see quite a mess up into the northeast. Again, several more inches of snowfall in store for places like Vermont, New Hampshire, and up into Maine as well. We're also going to continue to see a little bit of that lake effect snow traveling a little further south, but the majority of that heavy accumulation is going to remain up into the more northeastern portions of the U.S. As far as thunderstorms go, we are going to continue to see a little bit of that activity making its way through the state of Florida for the rest of today. And again, this is in association with that frontal boundary as it continues to push off to the east. We could see some stronger storms in here, especially for the central and southern portions of the state, but heading into the overnight hours tonight, we'll start to see all of that die out. And then, of course, the hot spot for activity is the western U.S., and this is going to be not only today, but through the next several days as we watch quite high totals of precipitation making their way through the Pacific Northwest and extending down into California. Again, we're looking at several inches of rainfall in store for California, freezing rain continuing for portions of Washington and northern Oregon. Quite a mess heading into the next several days, so please be careful if you live in that area of the country. As always, you can receive more of your weather information on our Facebook page, as well as Twitter and Metloop.com. Thank you for watching this afternoon. Stay safe and have a great day.